Hi, everyone. I've been having a lot of concepts sort of rattling around in my brain that I'd like to make maybe a video series about. And one of them is, can we look at messages in romantic comedies or just in life? Um, and talk about consent in a way that's not going to always require a content warning or trigger warning. I'm very into the ideas of content warning and trigger warning because of their importance, and I could always make a video about that. As a trauma survivor myself that has uh, had pretty severe episodes when being uh, shown something traumatic, I definitely appreciate them. But what I'd like to do is kind of make a space where people can learn at least my view on how consent is played out in movies and in life that is going to be accessible to all ages and people who have experienced trauma in the past. How are we going to learn about consent if everything we do is analyzing media and situations that are so extreme that they're going to be deemed either not safe for children or terrible for people who've gone through trauma. Um, so I'm going to use a real life example because for a long time, I have really struggled with the use of the word friend zone because that feeling is kind of relatable when you have a crush on someone and they find out and they don't feel the same way. What you do next shouldn't be determined by some script that society gave you that somehow your friendship is over or someone's feeling entitled. So I want to know. I thought back to my past and I thought about the fact that um, there's a whole flower color coding system. And when I was 13, I got a rose from someone for my birthday. And I was excited because I thought, oh, they're so cute and everyone has a crush on this person. How great. So he gives me this rose. Then I find out that it's a yellow rose and yellow means friendship. Ha! What a feeling. What to do with that feeling? Honestly, our friendship wasn't that hurt by it. And it doesn't have to be. Once I knew that the rose meant friendship, then I knew what to do with those feelings. So the idea of friend zoning has come about as this like really terrifying situation of like, you like them and they don't like you back and your life is over and they must be a horrible person because they didn't pick me. I mean, I certainly wrote a song called Superstar that was an ironic title because it was a person who had rejected me. And I walked away with that feeling that, well, they have bad taste. And I wrote a song to process my feelings of disappointment. But it turned out that he was actually not a good friend anyway. Like, in many ways, he was treating me really poorly. So it also helped me figure out he didn't handle it so well either. Given the history of how these things are handled, it makes sense that either side is going to have some pretty extreme feelings about this situation. So, giving someone a yellow rose, I mean, yellow also with stoplights, people will disagree. Does yellow stoplight mean speed up or slow down? And some people have said it's a safety issue. You have to fill out from case to case. If speeding up is going to make things safer or slowing down is going to make things safer, you make a judgment call in that moment. And that's the same thing with friendship. I will say that I have a best friend who we started out as dating and then we became friends. And that's amazing feeling. The idea of friend zone, meaning that if they want to be just friends, means that friendship is a consolation prize, has bothered me because friendship is an amazing thing. And a lot of our friendships are going to last longer than our relationships. So our romantic relationship. So that's the analogy is someone gives you a rose and it's a yellow rose. What do you do next? And I'm not going to expect that me at 13 hosting my first girl boy party is going to mean that everybody's going to have like such a wonderful reaction to this. I choose this situation because it ended up having such a mild effect. Whereas there's obviously other times in my life where someone has felt things for me that I didn't feel for them and things went really badly and either I handled it poorly or they did. And so that's why I don't like the term friend zone basically coming about as this always negative thing. If you can move past it, you can have amazing friendships. And I'll let you in on a little secret. As long as you're not sitting there waiting for them to like you back, eventually you don't really know the future. People's feelings change over time. So I have had situations where they started out as friendship and later on, relationship, romantic relationship. So you really don't know the future. So when we accept this script that society has given us that we're supposed to feel a certain way about it, I mean, if you like someone and they don't like you back, like romantically, we can acknowledge that's an icky feeling. You don't like that, you know? Um, but as a narrative, as a society, we've basically told people that this has to be a huge drama, that if anyone feels disappointed at any time, they're going to turn and it's going to become the most devastating thing happening to you. And that's just not going to be the case as long as it's handled well. So then how do we talk about these situations with each other? How do we negotiate consent in these situations without watching romantic comedies or any kind of fiction play out telling us how we're supposed to feel? I think it's only by having language. So for me personally, I'm going to start thinking about it as a yellow rose. Someone hands you a rose and it's yellow. It's a friendship rose. You get to decide. um, One thing I think people struggle with a lot is that having a crush on someone, having that flutter, having that romantic. I mean, even the word crush doesn't it originate from the fact that you are crushed under the weight of it? Like it's crushing. It hits your heart. It's so that infatuation feeling you feel for people, it can really put a lot of pressure on you and them for what to do. And again, thankfully, language has evolved to mean that we can apply many meanings to what a crush is. If you have a celebrity crush on someone and you think they're hot, but you have a crush on them, guess what? This is a pretty normal thing to be attracted to a celebrity or anyone in your life. Um, and we found a way to somehow use the word crush to mean big things and small things and everywhere in between and all of those things. So I want to talk from the experience of someone also who has experienced that level of entitlement where someone had a crush on me. I didn't feel the same way, and it did turn out poorly. I think, again, because we've taught someone that this should be a catastrophic event. Um, those feelings of entitlement, they're really seeping into our culture in a really damaging way. So, again, if you just basically look at it like I'm having an interaction with a person right now, I'm going to figure out what's going on. Now, for some of us, social cues don't come easy. That's just the fact of it. Whether you're neurodivergent, you're on the spectrum, or anything like that, guess what? That is going to be an issue. And also a relatable issue. I don't think I'd actually be a little bit scared of anyone who felt that they were so good at social cues that they could read every situation perfectly, because that's a person who has no flexibility in things being another way. Like someone who's so obsessed with what etiquette is that there's no flexibility in that etiquette. So that anyone who deviates from the norm is now wrong. So I think we all need to be aware of just maybe not being so strict with certain things, with definitions that, again, the script is not predetermined. You've had all these influences. Media has told you the script is predetermined. There's the microaggression of the fact that because this has played out over and over and over again, that pain can be even harder, even if it's just a small situation. And okay, so we're going to bring some of the messages that men receive and boys received. And again, it's why I have a problem with the idea of friend zone and that script. If you realize that over and over and over again, we've put in media and told boys, if a girl rejects you, then therefore she's the one that's a problem. And this has become very, very extreme. It's in media and it's considered this idea. it's going to be causing a lot of damage. And so, even if it's a minor situation, someone having extreme emotion, like either from a woman getting feeling extreme emotions because of how media and their past and even friends of them have dealt with just someone who was so entitled that they were angry at you because you didn't like them back. And they started saying, nice guys finish last. Women only like jerks. This is why women get, I've even heard people say it's the way women get in abusive relationships. It's because they can't see all these nice guys in their life. And again, this is a script that's been sold to you that does not actually need to play out in every situation. So it just, for one, please don't blame people for them being abused. Do not blame a victim of abuse for being abused. That's just bad. I just don't like that. I've experienced as a trauma survivor that sense of like, oh, she keeps picking the wrong guys, it's it's her fault, um, and it's just basically a abusive dynamics can happen with any gender variation or any relationship dynamic. Two, it's just like, please do not do this just because society has lied to you and told you you had to do this. And I mean, now we've ruined the term nice guy because you cannot describe a guy as nice. I call it self-proclaimed nice guy because it's like we have to now struggle to find other words for a person, like they're kind or gentle or sweet, a sweet guy, nice, because of, again, the script that nice guys finish last. So therefore, someone who feels I'm a nice guy, why can I not get dates? And I'm putting in quotations not because I disbelieve this. I'm putting in quotations because, again, it is the script that's been fed to you. It is romantic comedies have sold you this, life experiences, what's happened to your friends, what happened to your family, and you don't have to have the script play out that way. I know it feels like I'm repeating myself a lot, but it's because, this is a first take. This is pretty off the cuff. And these are thoughts that I've developed over the 40 years of my life. And that doesn't mean I'm right either. Again, I have had really, let's say, inelegant, not elegant things played out. I have made terrible mistakes. People have made terrible mistakes with me. And dangerous situations have happened where I've experienced pretty awful trauma in my life. I would like for our society to not keep playing out that script. Please, please, please. So I abandon this idea that things have to go poorly just because of a thing that happened. So Yellow Rose, better than Friend Zone. And please, please, please do not. It's like I want to put a disclaimer on the fact that the word yellow should be able to be used in a context that does not apply to specific races of people. So that Yellow Rose is basically this. Actually, now when I'm thinking about it, though, and it's hard for me to even talk about the Star Wars, the final 3 Star Wars movies that they came out because of certain dynamics that have played out in my life. People have often brought up the character of Rose, who is Asian, and how amazingly, wonderfully direct she is with her emotions, how she expressed her attraction in a very, she was very open about her attraction once she realized she felt it. And again, it didn't work out. And partially because the guy that she was hung up on was hung up on another person, Ray, and because he was hung up on her and she wasn't giving, it's like she wasn't giving any signals that she was interested, but he was really obsessed with her. And so they were still able to become friends. But again, it's like, if you're blind to the fact that somebody is attracted to you because you're so obsessively attracted to someone else, and you actually could be missing out on something great. And again, he doesn't have to end up with Rose. Ray doesn't have to end up with him. The script that's playing out in front of you, it's a fictional story, and the way that it plays out, if it hurts you and hits on something inside of you, that's fine, because that's what media is. It's going to teach you your feelings. It's going to give you a reaction. So I think we just need to look at these dynamics in this fiction and basically decide what narrative is being told here without suddenly making it your identity. I love Star Wars and I love Star Trek. I actually like Star Trek a bit more than Star Wars, but I love both of them. However, I would be amiss if I didn't point out that in fan communities, some people make it their entire identity. They love Star Wars and that's their entire identity. They love Star Trek and that's their entire identity. And as someone who I can get really obsessed with media. I love Star Trek a lot. I have Star Trek uniforms. I've put together Star Trek looks that were more steampunk. I love Star Trek. Um, Star Wars, I have a necklace with the Millennium Falcon. I have a laundry hamper that looks like R2D2. So I get it. I love nerdy stuff, and I love pedantic, and what that words mean is like getting so obsessed with minutia and detail and lore. Like Brian David Gilbert's Unraveled is so wonderful because he's pedantic. Video essays on YouTube. If I want to look up and find someone who's like looked up every detail of human history or the lore of Star Wars or a video game, I can do that. And that's wonderful about the age that we're living in, is that we can find people who've obsessed over every detail of Star Wars. We can find people who have every kind of take. That's wonderful. We shouldn't put down people who have the ability to obsess over details and look into all of canon. That's wonderful. We also shouldn't look down on fanfic, which is a person who's doing their own thing with that media. They're taking that fictional story and they're telling a new story or picking up on subtext. That's wonderful too. To put together the canon nerds, the well actually nerds, and to pit them against people who are doing fanfic and creating some magical universe, they could be friends. Again, they, the canon nerd and the fan, in fact, they could be the same person. Somebody who is obsessed over every tiny detail and has that passion and that zeal, and then goes and takes that passion and the zeal and they make a fanfic where they know every single possible detail, and then they've still made it their own and created a story. That's wonderful. That's amazing. Why are these two people fighting? They could be the same person or they could be friends. This would be in sign language friends. So it just does not, it boggles my mind that I'm in Star Trek communities where people are so obsessed with canon, and that we're mad at people for being obsessed with canon. No, that person's great because that person actually loves it enough to have put that time into it. And even if they made it their whole identity, again, I'm a nerd, and again, as long as you're putting all that obsession and we're not actually putting down that obsession and we're just saying they're pedantic and that's great, great. It's when the judgment comes out and the well actuallys and this and that. So that's when we start to just decide this person is bad because they're a nerd, or this person is bad because they're a fanfic writer. Are there going to be people who do terrible things who happen to write fiction or be obsessed with details? Absolutely. Does that mean we should assume everyone's terrible or everyone's good based on what category they fit in? Definitely not. You do not have to do bad behaviors based on your identity. You don't. You don't. You just don't. You don't have to do that. So I guess I've rambled on quite a while. I don't know if anyone's reached this point in the video. I'm going to be confident there's at least a few people in my life that will get this far in the video. Hopefully you found something interesting in what I'm saying. I'm going to start doing, I love video essays on media, so I'm going to start trying to do more and more of those and kind of examine again why it's a good thing that this media exists, because it creates a conversation about things. So yeah, again, this has just been rattling around in my head. I would appreciate anybody in the comments, try to be civil to each other. Talk about your differences. That's totally great. Please talk about your different opinions and try to just sort of hear the other person out. I have talked a little bit about trolls lately and how I handle them. I think even how we define a troll is going to change how we handle it. I feel that if someone is obviously saying things really hurtful to you, the advice to not feed the troll is can be very healthy, to not get engaged with people. I have found that based on where I'm at with my mental health and my sleep, sometimes I definitely don't feed the troll, don't respond. Um, in moments where I have responded to comments like that, sometimes I am trying to see if there's any common ground, if we can come to any understanding about each other. However, a lot of times, if I've decided that that troll is being destructive, I will then think about the people reading the exchange. And I'll try to be the voice that, if studies and data need to enter in and I'm posting links and showing my research, great. The troll might not care. Someone else might see it and think it's great. I've definitely found some really amazing articles just because somebody posted that article when they were trying to give research and citations. Um, that's great. I'm someone who obsesses in an anxiety type, unhealthy way, where I will say, well, I'm not going to respond to the troll, but I'm going to be up until the wee hours of the morning reading this giant thread of people attacking each other and being very upset at each other. So I know that that kind of anxious person exists. So I want to be the person in the conversation where they read it and they go, oh, 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 okay. Uh, I want to be. Now, do I always live up to this amazing standard? Absolutely not, because someone can push my buttons. I'm a trauma survivor, and being triggered is not a minor thing. So I sometimes stepping away is okay, is actually a healthy thing. I definitely can engage with every troll. It would be terrible for my mental health. Um, but I also don't like the assumption that everyone that's engaging and commenting on a different idea is a troll either. So that's the thing. Please don't judge that the initial interaction should play out a certain way. I would define a troll a lot of different ways. It's almost like there's a lot of different flavors of troll. If someone is showing bigotry in a really extreme way, um, how do we handle that is just a larger societal question, and one that I would not deign to totally um, have the answer to. I will say, in my own research and things that have been told to me, I would like people to research things about deep canvassing. It's about having conversations where two people have opposing viewpoints, very opposing viewpoints, that can still have a really good conversation, and it has led to a lot of societal change. So look up deep canvassing if you want some more information about how to engage with people with extremely different ideas. I'm going to do some videos about my feelings about it. I might even bring out my puppets and show what I think something would play out like. Um, I feel like that's what I've been talking about in comment sections the most lately, is what is deep canvassing? Why is it so amazing and wonderful? And what can it teach us? I think I've been talking so much about this one Tom Cardy video. He does like amazing, basically me being a fan of Brian David Gilbert, BDG, and his like amazing music that he also does, uh, meant that people were talking about Tom Cardy having a similar style. So I've been looking up at him and really enjoying. He has something called it's like Get Louis, and it's based on Louis Theroux, and it's made me revisit who Louis Theroux is, a BBC journalist who's done all these amazing documentaries, and also how we can use his calm demeanor in the face of extreme bigotry and as a strategy in our lives. So again, I'm going to cover it at some point, and I maybe drop a link below to that Tom Cardy video. I'll probably drop a link as well to the problem with deep canvassing is I've definitely found ones that showed, I need to find a good video essay on it, not just, so again, yeah, probably good for me to like also have a link ready to explain deep canvassing rather than trying to explain it on the fly. So, but Tom Cardy, you can do it. Get Louis, get Louis. Yep. Um, And still funny. He's so hilarious. Is like it really spirals into like keeping eye contact, but keeping eye contact to so that you're haunting their dreams. Like, how would I even put that in a comment section? Being silent and only staring at them. What do I just like keep making eyeballs bigger and bigger and bigger with every comment? I don't know. Anyway, I hope that something has been valuable about this video. It's definitely going to inspire the direction I take with some of my video essays in the future. So thank you all for listening. Bye.